Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead now and introduce Maria Sendejas and Teresa Potts. Maria and Teresa, you are more than welcome to get started. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Caesar. Okay, let me know if you can see that.
Yep, you're good to go.
Perfect. Okay, as Caesar mentioned, my name's Maria Elena Sendejas. I'm an assistant director in the Financial Aid and Scholarships Office. And today we'll be covering areas in navigating financial aid, the types of financial aid available. Let's see. Okay, it's not. Here we go. For some reason, it wasn't skipping over. Types of financial aid, my CI Student Center, some important dates, and how to contact us. Okay, here we have two applications. If you have not applied for financial aid, know that it's not too late. There's two applications, the FAFSA and the DREAM application. For students that want to go ahead and apply now, if you're a transfer student, new student, continuing student, you could apply for financial aid or the CATA. Please visit each of the websites to determine what you're eligible for applying for. The applications are going to be on the prior year income information. For example, if you're coming in for the fall and you're completing the 2021-2022, it's going to be based on the 2019 income information. So it's not too late and we encourage you to apply. Okay, once the application is received by our office, you may receive an email notification requesting additional information from you. And know that not all students are going to need to submit additional information. Some of the information that we may be requesting are the verification web form that you'll need to complete online, possibly the copies of your 2019 tax return transcripts, the 2019 W-2 forms, other documents. And I always encourage students, if you're not selected for verification at this point, you may want to have your tax return transcripts handy, just in case you make corrections and you're selected for verification at a later time. So very important to have those documents handy in case we need them. In terms of the financial aid priority document deadline, every year it pretty much falls on May 31st. The review of your documents can take from 2 to 4 weeks upon submission. What does that mean for you? Please do not submit documents last minute. It does take the 2 to 4 weeks upon submission for us to review them. Financial aid offers will be delayed if documents are not submitted or incomplete. So if you're submitting your documents, you want to make sure that they're complete, that they have the signatures that are requested, and that the exact information that we're requesting is being submitted. Okay, student forms. If you need to provide additional documentation to our office, Student Forms is a system that you'll be using to securely upload your documents from any device, available to both the FAFSA and DREAM filers. Student Forms is accessible in the Student Services section of your MyCI portal. So this is very important that you know how to navigate and you are familiar with your MyCI portal. If this is your first time accessing Student Forms, you want to make sure that you create an account. Some students sometimes don't know how to get into their My To Do list or don't know how to get into the portal. So it's really important that you create an account and that you have access to that. Make sure that your personal information matches exactly with the information that you entered on your application. That's extremely important. Sometimes students don't put the information exactly as it was entered on your application. And we want to make sure that students know to make sure that your information is matching. Once you're logged into Student Forms, you want to make sure that you're completing all of the assigned tasks securely and you want to make sure that you're uploading any required documentation that's being requested of you. One of the easiest ways to sign your documentation is to e-sign. And that is very important that you understand the e-signature. If for some reason you cannot e-sign your documentation, you want to make sure that you're using the same format to sign either the e-signature or the wet signature. If you don't have a social security number, or your parent doesn't have a social security number, you want to make sure that you're downloading the form and that you are signing it and re-uploading it. So this is real key. It's important that you know that you need to use the same format. Student parent can use the e-signature, or if you're downloading the form, you want to make sure that the student and parent are using the same format. For CATA filers, if a parent has no social security number, they may create an account if they can provide all required information previously reported on the CATA. So you want to make sure that you fully understand how you're going to sign your documents. Okay. Some common mistakes that we want to go over with you are students entering the information, and I mentioned a little bit about this before, is making sure that the information matches, whether you're doing the FAFSA or the CATA. And I'll give you some examples. In terms of FAFSA filers, you want to make sure your first name, last name, date of birth, social security number, that everything is matching in terms of what's on your social security card. You want to make sure that you're putting the correct information. If you're completing the CATA, you also have your first name, last name, date of birth, and just know that you'll be doing your dream ID. If you're using suffixes in your last name that were included on your application, for example, Evans Jr., you want to make sure that you're including that. Using a nickname or shorter version, for example, Rich instead of Richard, Bob instead of Robert. So you want to make sure that you are putting correct information. Otherwise, your application will be delayed, or it'll go into our suspense and it just will take longer for your application to be reviewed. Extra spaces, for example, McFadden. And if you notice on McFadden, there's a space on the second McFadden that will make a difference. Special characters entered in the name. For example, Laquan, if you're putting a hyphen or some other special character, that will also make a difference. So these are just some of the common mistakes. Okay, going into the types of financial aid. Okay, based on the application that you're eligible to complete, there's different types of financial aid. If you're eligible to complete the FAFSA application, and these are the gray bubbles or the application, the FAFSA, you'll notice that you're eligible for possibly a federal Pell Grant or SCOG. On the bottom there, you'll see federal loans. You got your student loans and Parent Plus loan. You'll have the federal work study employment program. If you're applying through the DREAM Act application, notice that the combination of the FAFSA DREAM Act, you're eligible for state aid, meaning the Cal Grant A and B, state university grant. These are geared towards your actual tuition fees, your middle class scholarship, and you have your institutional scholarships. You also have other aid, private scholarships, third party, and private loans. And know that any third party, it does interact with your state university grant or any other aid that covers your tuition. So that's very important for you to know how that works. In terms of having a breakdown, if you want to know more about your financial aid breakdown, you'll be able to see your estimated awards in a few minutes. I always encourage students to apply for scholarships. We've had previous students ask in regards to scholarships for artists. There's a variation of scholarships. So I always encourage each one of you to apply to as many scholarships as possible, both on and off campus. And you can start by possibly visiting our website. There's a wealth of information that can at least get you started. Okay. Claiming your Cal Grant. If your Cal Grant estimate is not showing up on your financial aid offer, it does not mean that you won't receive it. It basically means that it's in review, or you might have changed the school to CI. Always double check and make sure that you've listed CI. But one of the most important things that I could encourage each one of you to do is to claim your Cal Grant by logging into your Web Grants account and the website's there. And you can also find this information on the web on our website. But this is very important. Step number one, just make sure that you're claiming your Cal Grant. CSUCI will not be notified of your Cal Grant if you don't claim your award. And know that your award will be withdrawn at the end of the academic year if you don't claim it. You must take at least 15 units each semester, or a total of 30 units per year to graduate in the 4 years. And know that your Cal Grant award is limited to 4 academic years, meaning that it's 100% per year. Another important item is logging into your MyCI. It's very important that you have your credentials to log in and access your student information. And this gives you a snapshot of what it looks like to log in with your Dolphin name and your password. Okay, this gives you a snapshot of your MyCI Student Center. And you'll see that on your left, you have a hyperlink. It says financial aid, view your financial aid. Hopefully you become very familiar with this page and you periodically check your student center. But you'll be able to click on your view financial aid and you'll have additional information regarding financial aid. On the right-hand side, you'll see your to-do list. This is where it'll list any documents that are outstanding, any additional information that sometimes after your file's reviewed and we need additional information from you, it's your responsibility to make sure that you're checking periodically your to-do list for any outstanding items. Okay, viewing your financial aid, accessing your financial aid award and knowing how to go over the breakdown of your financial aid. This is very important. And we'll start by looking at the aid year. You want to make sure that you're in the correct aid year. You'll see 2022 to the left-hand side. If anybody's here is continuing, you'll see 2021. So you want to make sure that you're going into the correct aid year. On the top, you'll see the aid year. It gives you a snapshot of what's been offered in terms of your annual awards. Then you'll see the fall 2021, it'll break it down per semester. And know that currently right now they're estimated awards, so they're only in the offer. We've had some students call and say they can't accept them. This is a view only as estimated awards. They eventually will become official awards. Your grants will be auto accepted for you and the loans will stay in the offer, and that'll be up to you if you decide to accept them. And please note, these are estimated, you cannot accept them, and they will become official at one point. Some important items: enrollment, requirement, and financial aid. So grants are awarded based on full-time enrollment, meaning that if you're planning to be in 9 units, they will be prorated. If you're not full-time, they're going to be reduced possibly. And you'll be able to see that on our website in terms of what grants mean what. Most must be enrolled in at least half time to borrow any federal loans, meaning that if you're in at least 6 units, you should be okay for your loans. The semester charges versus annual aid, you'll be charged tuition and fees for room and board per semester if you're living on campus. And as a quick tip, your financial aid is awarded and applied to your fees in campus housing, because we have had students inquire on how they're applied. If you don't live in housing, the remaining financial aid will go to you unless it's a student, unless it's a Parent Plus loan. Your financial aid is awarded for the entire award year, as I mentioned earlier, and it includes fall and spring semesters. And just make sure that you're planning accordingly, that you're doing the math, that you're looking to see what awards go, to pay what, and what your loans, also the amounts of the loans that you've accepted. Okay, some important items, some helpful hints. Estimated financial aid awards are, as I mentioned before, estimates only. In order to graduate in the 4 years, you need to take a minimum of 15 units, and I mentioned 30 units per academic year. The CSUCI scholarships require a minimum of 15 units per semester, and you must have completed all financial aid items on your to-do list in order for you to receive a financial aid award. And this is one of the most common things that students do ask us. I haven't gotten awarded yet. And then you notice that your to-do list has some outstanding items. So just make sure that you're, again, periodically checking that to make sure that all items have been complete. FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, protects students' accounts from unauthorized inquiries, meaning that you need to give your parents permission, or anybody else that you want permission to. You need to make sure that you are giving them official permission. We cannot disclose any information other than you, the student, if you don't have a FERPA in place. So if a person contacts us that has not been given permission, we will only give general answers. So just make sure that you know to complete the FERPA if you wish to give additional information to somebody else. Some important dates to go over. The May 31st is the financial aid priority document deadline. Again, only files that are completed will be processed and you'll have a financial aid award, but completed files take 2 to 4 weeks to process. And again, what does that mean to you? Get your information in early so we have enough time to process and you have your financial aid on time. In mid-June, students will be notified of your financial aid offers, meaning that your estimated will turn into official awards, and students who submitted verification documents will be awarded upon review. On August 12th, the first financial aid disbursement for fall 2021 will start, meaning that we'll start awarding and then we'll continuously award after that. And we do have students that sometimes share information with other students. They call our office and say, hey, my friend Stacy got her financial aid award. What happened to mine? Every student's different. So depending on whether the file is complete or not, you'll get your first financial aid disbursement starting August 12th. Some helpful reminders. October 1st, FAFSA CATA applications open every year. While you're attending CI, you want to make sure that you complete your FAFSA in the month of October so we could have your financial aid on time. And if you want to maximize your financial aid, you want to make sure that you are completing your FAFSA in the month of October or your CATA application. January 1st through March 2nd is when the application opens for the CSUCI scholarships. If you don't have enough financial aid, number one question you'll be asked by a counselor is, did you apply for scholarships? So we want to make sure that you apply to as many scholarships as possible. March 2nd, FAFSA priority deadline, CATA priority deadline, and the Cal Grant GPA verification deadline. And that's a very important deadline, March 2nd. So just make sure you make note of that. Okay, we also have a counselor on call, which we've assigned as our daily counselor of the day. We are readily available to meet with you in any manner, whether it's via Zoom, email, phone call, whatever's efficient for you. Know that we're here for you and that we do have a counselor on call dedicated to assist the student in any questions, inquiries you may have. We could meet with you one-on-one, and we encourage you to contact our office because we do have a counselor on call that's readily available for immediate assistance to a student. Our contact information. Okay, we have our primary form of communication is your MyCI email. How you can contact us. So we have an email, phone number. We also have live chat Monday through Friday from 10 to 3. Resources, we have excellent instructional videos that you can tap into. All the information that we talked about today is in a video on our website, and additional information regarding other important areas that I feel that you would benefit from. And we have our website here. And that pretty much concludes the presentation. Do you have any questions?
Hi, Maria. This is Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
We have a number of good questions that are coming in here, and we'll try to cover as many as possible. I've been responding to some through the text, through the Q&A, but let's go ahead and I'll just jump in and throw a few of these at you and have you answer them. One of the first questions is, the financial aid awarded is all we are given to pay for tuition, or will we be receiving more?
Okay.
I think what they're asking is the financial aid that they are receiving used to pay for tuition, or is there something more to help them with the additional costs?
Okay, in terms of the estimated awards that are there, those are estimated awards. Sometimes the awards may potentially change depending on if you're selected for verification and your information changes. For those students that have a Cal Grant coming, that most of the time will be applied at a later time after it's been completely reviewed. So it does vary from student to student.
Okay. Another question that came up is, do we have to take 15 units per semester as a requirement for financial aid? And if we don't take 15 units, what happens?
In terms of the 15 unit requirement, it's optional. If you want to graduate in the 4 years, it's been assessed that you can take the 15 units to make sure that you're graduating in the 4 years. If you take 12 units, you potentially could go over the 4 years, which is why we recommend that you take the 15 units. But in terms of your awards, as long as you're taking 12 or more, they should remain the same. So if you're taking 12 or 15, your units, your awards would be the same.
Okay. Next question is really good. It says, what if I missed the priority deadline for grants and scholarships? Is it too late? And what kind of financial aid can I get?
It is not too late. The priority deadline is set, one for Cal Grant, and secondly, the state university grant, some of the campus money, which is the state university grant, we have it tied to the March 2nd priority deadline. So if you want to maximize your financial aid, we always recommend that you submit your FAFSA before the March 2nd, but it's not too late. You can still complete your FAFSA application and we'll determine to see what your eligibility is.
Okay. Can you tell the difference between a Cal Grant and a Pell Grant?
Yes, the Pell Grant's a federal grant. It pays educational costs, and your Cal Grant is a state grant that is geared towards your tuition and fees.
Okay. What are the difference between the different types of loans?
In terms of the loans, we have a subsidized, which is the 0% interest. We have the unsubsidized that does accrue interest right when we disperse the loan to you. These are guaranteed student loans, meaning that we do not run like your credit. They're guaranteed student loans. If you apply, if you accept them, you automatically get them unless you're in default or some kind of default. In terms of the Parent Plus loan, the Parent Plus loan is a credit-based parent loan, which is used mostly when students don't have enough financial aid. That basically closes up the gap when families need it.
Okay. Here's a question about I completed all the items in my to-do list, but I can't view my award.
I would recommend that you call our office so we can check the status. I always say if you don't hear from our office within a week or two, I would check status. We're pretty good about following up with our students, but if you don't see an award up there, then I would definitely contact our office.
Okay. And just a reminder that the official aid offers that you'll be able to accept in the portal will not be available until mid-June. Okay, so right now students should be seeing estimated aid offers, and once we do the officials, it'll be about mid-June. You'll receive an email notification from the Financial Aid and Scholarships Office that will direct you to your portal. And Sunshine, you want to mute? Thank you. And Maria, you want to pull your screen? Stop your share. So students will receive official aid offers in mid-June, and you'll receive an email communication that will let you know that you need to go out and accept your loans. We automatically assume that you want all the grants and scholarships, so we will accept those on your behalf. All right, Maria, just I think we're running pretty close to time. I have a couple more questions here. Students, if we didn't respond to your questions today, please don't hesitate to reach out to us in the Financial Aid and Scholarships Office. You can reach out using the live chat. We also have email at financial.aid@csuci.edu, and we'll be happy to respond to your questions there as well.